Oh wait,
It's rolling.
one exam on this.
क्रिप्टोग्राफी क्लास
Have you started?
it's rolling बहुत
Actually,
ऊपर से
So our topic is basically about the effects of McDonald's as a brand on the society, which includes mental health, physical health, the effects of it on the environment and the economy of a country. So we're going to start off with a very basic correlation between physical health and McDonald's. Physical health.
Okay, fine. So, I'll ask you the first question. According to you guys, what is junk food and what are some of the major problems associated with junk food? Anyone of you can answer?
Alright, so junk food is basically anything that is construed as something that is generally not. It's called junk because it's not healthy, right? So you have something that's set as what you call a healthy diet. So your usual vegetables and all that. But then something that contains an over excess of say oil or fat or something that is generally not good for your health is considered as what you call as junk food. And what is the second question?
Second question is, what are some of the major problems associated with it?
Obesity, yeah. So that's one of my common things you can think about, obesity. But then you can anything that will affect your health in a detrimental way, any food item, an overdose of such can be considered junk food. Take diabetes, for example. Sugar on excess levels can be considered as junk. So it's relative.
Okay. So, second question is, tell us about one regulation that was imposed on junk food.
I mean, the World Health Organization has done something, right? with junk food.
I mean, yeah, so when you think about it, there are multiple regulations imposed by different governments around the world. Now, that again constitutes the fact of how different governments perceive junk foods and their own FDA depending upon their nutritional value that they consider. So we can't really pinpoint upon one regulation, but we can really concentrate on how different governments have imposed them. Right. So if I'm supposed to give examples, there are numerous. But then again, I think we should look at the umbrella fact more than the ones that are there.
So, third and the last question from my question would be, what measures can be taken to stop children from consuming junk food?
It depends on the child itself. Right? We look at it from saying, right, how can you stop someone from eating a particular food? You can't, right? The only thing you can do is you can impose regulations. As you said, you can impose regulations one, or the child will go behind your back and eat. That's the major thing that happens when you go impose regulations. Right? Child's free mind is not something you cannot control. So it will not experience everything. Child itself will not experience everything in life. So it will go at some point and eat junk food. So it's not something you can control. But you can impose regulations on it. So the amount of portion you give for junk food, that can be regulated, right? So you can decrease the size of burger, or you can let's say fries, you can eat less amount of fries or anyone.
No, but simple thing is good parenting.
Yeah.
It all starts with good parenting. It's very case by case.
I think the main area where junk food is a problem is for poor people. People who are under the poverty line, who cannot afford good food, have to eat the junk food. So, I mean, a substitute should be given to them. More important.
I also feel advertisement definitely plays a role in that because you don't see healthy food being advertised on a daily basis, right? Whereas your friends fries or burger, whatever is advertised. So children definitely tend to see them and then they perceive that junk food is much more better, like it tastes better and stuff like that. So
Also, I think schooling plays a major role because children, like, if you start inculcating a habit from a very small age as to what is healthy and what is unhealthy for the students. I mean, yeah, they do get into realizing that what kind of food they should be eating, which will keep them fit, not only physically but also mentally, which is really important.
I remember in one of my schools they implemented that by asking us to make that one week diet plan.
every
Every day you bring this and we'll check. Yeah.
So that ends up physical health aspect of it, right? Physical health oftentimes also leads to its effect on the mental health of humans, right? There was a recent study in Australia which basically, concluded that McDonald's in Australia has been established in areas of low socio-economic backgrounds, like Amrit said, right? So do you guys really think that also there have been various studies that show that what we eat really affects our physical and in turn our mental health also. Do you guys really think that the establishment of McDonald's, in low socio-economic backgrounds justifies, the fact that employment is being given more importance because employment leads to happiness, or the fact that it's already a low socio-economic background where they have to take care of their nutrients and what they intake, but But since McDonald's wants to profit, they just establish it there. Do you think giving more importance to employability and brand value is more important than mental health and physical health of people?
Could you like?
Okay, it's not. Okay, in very simple terms. it's
Basically,
not-
my question is: do you think giving more employment is justified for the fact that you're easily just giving people a substitute to eat junk food and it will be less happy
at a lower price.
at a lower price?
That's not the question. Okay. To speak from our perspective, it's not. But that's not how corporate world works, right? It will work on the supply and demand chain and all that. So if you look at it from their perspective, it's okay for them, but not for us.
No, then again, you can take this. So I don't know if I want to get really theoretical over here, but then so there is this very popular theory, right? The Coase theory, right? Which says that if you have a transaction that's happening between two actors, how much ever the stakes might be against one of the other actors, if there is a bargain or if there is a possibility of a bargain with a low transaction cost, then they will reach a middle ground, right? So this is a proven theory, which means what I feel is that, say the case with McDonald's, right? So it's a product of capitalism. Right? Their end motive is to make money. But at the same time, I refuse to accept that there is an easy way out wherein they're trying to give a lot of people, junk food just to make profits. Because at the end of the day, you see McDonald's advertising themselves, like actively saying that, hey, our products aren't that unhealthy as well. So it's a common misconception that these corporate worlds, yes, although there is one side, then they are profit minded as well, but then it's redundant to say that they are always completely profit minded and they don't care about health as such.
Do you think as a brand, it has very smart advertising when it comes to its market segmentation? So do you guys agree with that?
Yeah,
That is any venture.
In
that
a
would
private
say profit.
sector or any company for that matter, the main motivation for driving them is profit, right? At the end of the day, they only look for profit. And if health is that big of concern, then yes, like I feel the government should step in and make certain, basic, like we have the rationing system, right, in India. You make certain commodities that are essential for your basic nutrients to, especially the laborers, right? So they have different dietary requirements. So in order to fulfill that, the government should step in and make them cheaper instead of just blaming the private sector for doing what they want to do with the economy.
Now moving on to my second question, which is basically, mental health also deals with something like addiction or probably something as simple as, comfort food when you're sad, right? So this is mostly like I want each and every one of you to answer. On a day where you're feeling really sad or low, what would you prefer to eat? A fries and burger combo from McDonald's, or something like rice, dal, roti, vegetables, or others? So out of those three, you would say 1, 2, or 3. One being a combo from McDonald's, second being something like a balanced diet like rice, dal, vegetables, rotis, and third others. So 1, 2, or 3. When you're feeling sad.
Say one.
1, 2, 1.
1, 2.
Yeah, that's about it from my side. Thank you. Now we're moving on to the environmental aspects.
So, when you consume fast food, I don't think the first thing you think about is the environment. I would like to know how many people actually think about the environment and why. And is that a conscious thing you think about to reduce? Like if it's bad for the environment, you think that no, I should consume less of it. Mostly people think about physical, mental, basic, but environment.
Are you talking about brand or just the food?
Junk food. Like
Junk
me,
food
There are two
I
aspects to
think
this,
about
right? So there are two aspects to this. One thing is the imminent problem of food wastage, because so you take any joint, such as McDonald's or Burger King or whatever joint it is, you have like a considerable amount of food wastage that's happening. So the question is not about wastage, but it's about waste disposal. So if the waste that is generated is disposed in a proper manner, then there won't be any environmental hindrance. But the status quo has it that we do not dispose of our wastes properly, which in turn causes environmental degradation as well. But another way to look at this would be how multinational companies benefit through these sort of capitalistic ventures wherein they take the money that they invest in these kind of food joints and then launder it to fuel their own factory-based emissions and all that. That's a stretch. The valid point that stands here is food wastage. I think people might agree.
And yeah, but also the fact that the packaging of these books that are healthy,
Yeah.
that is a lot of environmental damage right there.
Adding to food wastage, I mean, there's also a thing like technology plays a major role when we talk about food wastage in this area. So there has been integration of when you talk about business analytics or data analytics, what these technologies basically aim to do is to recognize consumer patterns on a daily basis, to recognize at what PRs, what is the kind of product that is being sold at the most. Now, if companies per se, let's say McDonald's, effectively calculate that during what season or during, let's say Monday, they have lower sales as compared to weekends, only because people are free on weekends and are coming with families, it would highly reduce the wastage in terms of, production and also save upon the cost, which adds more profit to the companies.
Also, McDonald's has reached to that people. Like, fun fact, McDonald's is like the largest producer of toys in the world.
Yeah.
But going back to packaging as well, packaging is major contributor to garbage in general. Packaging of anything. Now, take McDonald's itself. They are the one pioneers of the straws being made to paper, right? Plastic. They're completely cut out plastic from their entire packaging. So that is a good step towards mitigating the garbage. But steps can be taken. That's what we all come to conclude.
So my next question is, outside India, chains like McDonald's are incorporating vegan items in their menus. So like vegan chicken patty. So it's not actually chicken, but it's something else. So do you think that is actually doing something to reduce the environmental impact, or is it just a fad? As you said, is it a capitalist this thing?
I think it's capitalist. Like, McDonald's does not sell beef in India, yet it has like around 180 restaurants, and it runs really well. So I think it's just capitalist.
I think at the end of the day, it's more or less of moral policing if you can think about it, right? So when you think about it in such a format, when you introduce stuff like vegan food, at the end of the day, it's to attract a certain niche of customers. Now, these customers really don't know what happens better. Same goes with packaging, same goes with other stuff. So when they say that we are having healthy diet, by introducing salads, at the other spectrum, they are having something equally unhealthy. But people don't look at it because, oh, McDonald's has salads. Right, now same goes with, oh, they don't have plastic straws, they have paper straws. But they're overcompensating that by introducing something on the other spectrum. Now, I believe similar thing goes for vegan. So their headline would be, we are introducing vegan food to attract people. But on the other side, people might come there, try vegan, and then switch to the other food that's there.
Exactly.
So it's a very elaborate and a very smart advertisement.
Adding to this point, like for example, if they introduce a new chicken, like anything introduce chicken or something, there's not going to be a lot of popularity with it on Twitter. Like if they talk about social media, whereas if they release something Reddit would be, then there's a lot of social media popularity that they gain from this Reddit society, like popularity, and it just pump more. So that's just, I think, a lot of social media spend that they're doing.
Adding on that, it's not only limited to veganism, it's limited to anything that's trending per se. So any of these ventures, what they do essentially is they look at what is trending right now in society, adapt it to a concept that they can fit to sell their product. Right. So if you look at that, if you say, let's just say that India is launching a very, very famous rocket, say, so something that's very, very revolutionary. This is something that will hit headlines, right? Which means most of these food joints, say McDonald's themselves, they'll try and adapt their food packaging to make sure that they have something, they give a rocket toy with it, or they sell it in a gift or something like that. So the people are at the same, there are two sides to it. One thing is, if you see the negative aspect, they're trying to it's a capitalistic venture, they're trying to use something else, they're trying to boost profits. But another thing is they're generating awareness at the same time. Because a lot of people who watch or go to McDonald's on a regular basis, who might not watch the news or get their source of information from other sources, might get it from a very, very simple manner like this. So it's a case by case scenario.
So my next question is not about the pollution aspect of the environment, it's literally about the things surrounding it. So for example, if there is a fast food joint near you, do you tend to eat from there more often or less often? Also keep in mind the sources like Swiggy and Zomato, which you don't really have to do anything.
Okay, so I think the answer to this can be given by a very famous theory. It's called Cobb-Douglas model. So basically what happens is that when you think about it, right? So very advanced countries, like for example the first world countries per se, say US and all, they have a very good restaurant system outside. So there it's more about the process of eating outside rather than you eating it, right? So all these places have very good ambience, they have exemplary services. While when you come to places like India, it's more about the comfort, right? How fast you get the food, which is why Swiggy, Zomato, Uber Eats, these all have a lot of advancements here. Whereas in America, say America as an example, in America it's the process of you getting dressed, you going out, you having a sort of conversation with people out there, right? So I think if you can compare that, then like he said, it's a very case by case scenario, and then like yeah, I believe at one or the other point that's how it's supposed to be.
Again, I feel it's about accessibility, right? So apologies. Accessibility, right? So yeah, so it's I would rather go to a fast food joint that is next to my house 9 times out of 10 because it's a lot more accessible. I probably wouldn't Swiggy food from that joint because I know it's near. But again, then comes the aspect of choice wherein 9 times out of 10 I visited that fast food joint and if I want a variation or something, then I'd probably Swiggy something if from a further place.
Also, it depends on every person what kind of food they like. If a fast food joint is giving me very oily food which I don't like itself, I won't go there. But if a restaurant which is far away gives better fast food, then I'll go there.
Yeah, this is also an acceptance of the social theory called mainstream. So that's also something that you can look up.
So basically you guys, a very general question, right? So if you guys are aware of the fact that McDonald's is, causing environmental, impacts, which might be positive or negative, you guys would still choose to go to McDonald's mainly because its market segmentation is impeccable. Is that a yes or a no question?
Yes.
Everybody is saying yes? Okay. So we're done with the environmental aspect. Now we move on to the economic aspect, right? Yeah.
So some years ago there was a false theory that McDonald's decided the economy of our country, is it successful or not. So my questions are down to grade that do you think that pricing of McDonald's is customer friendly? Is it a
Yes.
good?
Yeah, it is.
Very customer.
Yes, very.
And due to which my second question is that do you think the gift associated with McDonald's increases the price or it intimidates the means should they give such costly gifts such as Hot Wheels and Barbie dolls and something which are more than their burger which they cost, so which makes the joint together which they sell is quite costly. Do you think is it a successful theory of giving that product?
Well, again,
It's a marketing
Yeah,
strategy.
yeah.
It's been going on for so long, so it's obviously.
So again there are two aspects to this. One aspect is that they want to please their customers. They want to please their customers who most likely are children. Right? So you give them a toy and you let them like go happy. But the very funny aspect of this is there's a very legal aspect to this. It's called rule of
Okay, but that's beside the point. Basically, you guys are saying that the marketing strategy that was used by McDonald's is extremely effective.
It is,
It
very
is,
effective.
right? So, which in turn increases the marketability of the product, and
Actually,
in turn
funny-
increases the economy of the
Right.
country. Right?
Actually, this is something legitimate point. If you look at any fast food joint, McDonald's is the only one that gives you a toy.
Hmm.
You take any other
They
fast food
resell
joint,
it.
they don't. Alright? Which means they have a USP, as she said. Which is exactly why if you see McDonald's, 9 times out of 10 you see a kid, you go ask them where they want to go to McDonald's because they know that for a fact they buy a burger or they buy something, they will get a toy with
yeah,
it.
so adding on to what he said, it's also very important since McDonald's has been here for a long time. A person who has a kid right now might have had a McDonald's toy, say 30 years back. So at the end of the day, it's more or less of a nostalgic sort of this thing, and I believe that they can overcompensate it. So the moment that they stop giving this toy per se, it will be a sort of company policy violation. So like, yeah.
Again, and McDonald's can actually do something like this. I think they've actually done something like this wherein the fact that they've given these toys, a lot of people value these toys a lot, which means they start collecting them.
Right.
So McDonald's, I think at one point of them said that if you guys collect 5 of them and then give it to us, you get like an offer on a meal or something like that. So this is something that's very useful.
That's a
for
very
them.
unique marketing strategy, which
Yeah.
kudos to McDonald's, right?
Of course.
So
Let's
moving
go to
on.
the next question.
Yeah. So moving on.
Yeah, last question is that my last question is on its regional dishes that McDonald's in each nation wherever it goes it opens a branch with us, especially in India there's no big college or something. So what do you think that is it a very good problem or is it going to become a problem on
This won't become a problem at all because this is something that will directly hit a home run with the people of that area itself, right? So if you have, see, India people like no paneer, like they eat tandoori items. So the moment you stop selling like the Americanized burger and you come and give them an Indian variant, people are gonna be like, hey, this place is a lot more like home. Right, so they will stop associating McDonald's with the usual cliched American narrative, and they'll start making it something. It gives them a sense of individuality, which will never deteriorate.
I disagree with this point because consider the Jamaica example. McDonald's definitely tried to start their branch in Jamaica, but they failed miserably. Whereas Burger King, in fact, replaced them and they've been running successfully for 35 years. The reason is which, when McDonald's tried to sell their fried chicken burgers like in America, the people of Jamaica did not accept it very well because they felt like their cuisine was much more better and they didn't want to invest in such food.
I think in that case, McDonald's should be shot.
And even Jamaica also wanted, like, people of Jamaica really love alcohol, which McDonald's didn't serve.
Again, like it depends on the region.
Right.
So, like, since it depends on the region, another thing we can actually delve into is the fact that the way McDonald's as a brand has become such a success, right?
Right.
So,
Okay, so now moving on to the last subtopic, which is based on the success and marketing of McDonald's. So you would like to ask some questions on that?
Yeah, so my first question would be like, it has a large marketing budget, right? Every company when it's established, it has a large marketing factor considering the BMC and all that. So the first question would be that, what do you think were the competitive challenges that McDonald's may have faced while getting success for their brand?
I would like to answer that. Burger King and McDonald's actually related are at the same point of time. One in 1953 and one in 1955. And if you see, if McDonald's has a burger, even Burger King has a burger. Like, just names different. Like they have crushers, even they have different juices, and it's very similar. So in such a case, definitely competitive pricing is a point which McDonald's emphasized on.
Again, to delve deeper into this, so essentially if you look at how these fast food joints are constructed itself, if you look at like the map demographic, you find a McDonald's within a kilometer radius, you will find a Burger King or, so this is, I don't want to delve deeper into the theoretical aspect, this is something in game theory, so it's a game theory example which basically people say that take petrol bunks or take fast food joints, any of them wherein there are different brands selling the same type of product, they will always have stuff next to each other because they try to split the market, right? They'll try to split the people who come there. This is exactly how competition itself starts generating, and here is somewhere McDonald's capitalized with its unique selling points.
I think that is one thing. Okay, now this is something that we all fail to know, right? So if you consider a country like America or you say anywhere in Europe, we think that McDonald's has the highest market advantage. But think about it, there are better burger outlets out there. For example, the Five Guys or the In-N-Out burgers. Now, these things are something that people fail to know because they automatically think that since McDonald's has such a cheap price, then they must be at the top of the competition. Now, this is something that I feel as a competitive challenge that might come up because the fact that these people offer fresher ingredients, better quality food, and be at a higher price range, which is where McDonald's has a success because they offer the reduced price.
McDonald's has a success more on global marketing rather than anything because social media marketing plays a huge role in McDonald's success, right? Because like, if you ask any kid on the street, like from any country in the world, like, if you ask them, do you want to go eat McDonald's, they will know what McDonald's is. Like, it's the global marketing of McDonald's plays key role in everything.
No, very simply put, it's about experience, right? So if you ask me what the most say name a brand of jeans that you'll wear, everybody knows like Wrangler or Levi's. So they've been there, they've established themselves as pioneers in the market. McDonald's has established themselves as a pioneer in burgers, which is why people, although I agree with the fact that there are several other local joints, people will tend to go to McDonald's because it's like, hey, it's McDonald's.
yeah, it's always there, it's enough.
Okay, so now moving to the next question. The next question is that McDonald's may have many mass marketed their products at relatively low prices, right? So what do you think can be some other targeting strategies and pricing strategies that they can apply in their brand so that they get more attraction?
Giving more context to that, basically how, like in the principles of marketing, before marketing a product, you're supposed to find your market segment, position your product in that certain segment. So that's the context to that question.
Yeah.
If you guys have understood the question, please do it.
Again, so it really depends upon the target area for McDonald's, right? So they need to optimize. it would be wrong to say that McDonald's should like it's futile for McDonald's to go and have their unit in say like an area wherein it's an underdeveloped area or people wherein the awareness is not there, right? So although the focus must be to increase awareness there, to increase profits, they must probably go to like an urbanized area, an area that's already well settled, wherein the amount of say maybe near schools or something like that, established schools, wherein their market is absolutely like it's sorted, because most of the people who go visit McDonald's are teenagers or people from school or colleges. So you go established or inside colleges for that matter, right? So inside university or something, that's gonna be a home run for them.
Inside the
That would be nice.
Okay. So the third and final question is that it's a general question, not related to McDonald's as such, but like if what you know there's a brand loyalty with everything. So what do you think fast food joint managers should do to increase their brand loyalty and like customer loyalty? Basically.
That all boils down to your unique selling point, right? Like what we discussed before. McDonald's has their toys, so right? So that creates brand loyalty when they are children itself, right? So when you're children, you go there and get a toy from Happy Meal. You're like, oh wow, I've got a toy. Now I will come back here again and get another toy. So we keep inculcating the same fact in that. So as you grow older, you will say, McDonald's is there, let's go to McDonald's. Right? So that is a key point. You have to have a unique selling point in your product, which creates brand loyalty essentially.
But the negative aspect of that in terms of brand loyalty is, as one of you said, the entry of organizations like Swiggy and all that. Swiggy essentially, in the positive way, acts as a bridge between the consumers as well as producers. But at the same time, it sort of reduces brand loyalty on the part of McDonald's as an entity itself. Right now, your loyalty is now owed to Swiggy, not McDonald's. So immediately something happens, you don't get the order, you blame the Swiggy guy, and you don't like think of the McDonald's guy because he was the bridge. Yeah. So you blame the bridge and you stop blaming the person itself. So brand loyalty is sort of reduced over there. So that is my argument.
So to add on to this, I would say like these days McDonald's is opening many cafes. So they're having ads and offers to this. And if someone knows, like for the past 6 months, those offers have been constant. They've been there. So people have been visiting the outlets regularly. So that's to increase the brand loyalty. So that's a good thing they could continue with.
I want to add one small point, right? So I think in this entire discussion, I think one thing that we fail to address is the fact of franchising. Now, this is how every single fast food outlet work, right? So I guess this is where the branch managers of each branch have a sort of less pressure, because they do not have any sort of autonomy on how the offers are sent out or how the certain promotions are taken place. It comes from the headquarters. So at this point, the franchisees have in a sort of way less pressure, and then like it's advantageous in such a way that actually a high thought out marketing strategy is sent out to them, and they really don't have to invest or spend anything on that. So I think that is a very good method from their part to increase the number of outlets, because people tend to take it up more.
With that said and done, I feel like we're done with our segment and with the questions that we needed addressed.